I don't. It's not that good, but it's like good. Yeah, I like it.
And we will not be calling our spouses today. If you were here yesterday for that, that's
And
a one-time
can you
deal.
catch them up on the conversation because people are like, y'all in trouble. It's gonna be a conversation going on today. What happened?
I didn't get in trouble yesterday, so we started off by calling Len to get his opinion about the canoe trip yesterday. And he was like, she's like, Len, can you talk? On speaker, right here, on this. And he's like, no.
Yes,
and then we made him talk.
Did.
So then to make it even, we were going to call Sarah. So Sarah was only irritated by one thing. She goes, Brian, I thought it was an emergency.
That's messed up that we did that.
Jannelle calls her. She doesn't answer. Jannelle then tries to get me to text her. She texts her something like, Sarah, you need to call me right now.
That's messed up.
She wrote that to my wife. And then I called Sarah, picked up because she thought, did Brian just die on the radio?
No, what?
And then we made her talk on here and everything. So, but she's not mad. She thought it was funny.
Marian, welcome back. She says, good morning. I haven't been able to join you in for the longest time. So glad to connect this morning. We're so glad you're back, Marian. Hi, Callie, Amora. Nathan says, can you call your teenagers today to ask about dating? That would be funny.
Mine is sleeping.
I could call my funny teenager. That dude is hilarious. Eva, Amora says, ha ha ha. Did your spouses say anything when you got home?
What did Len say?
Len just asked. So, was I on air? I said no. The radio was off. It was like 9:30. Then he was like, so you had me where? And I said Facebook, which he is not on. So he was like, okay. I don't think he understands. It's like live.
He is so old.
I know. Callie's birthday.
Today?
Yeah.
Hey, happy birthday,
Woo!
Callie. And look at this. We have new mom, Lauren Cuevas.
Hola, Lauren. She has boys.
She's here.
Any encouragement for Lauren?
Boys. She's got a boy now, right?
A boy. She has a boy, yes.
She's a mom now, so you got to start taking notes. We're talking about teens and dating, Lauren. Believe it or not, you think you've got forever? It feels like just yesterday I was where you are with my oldest daughter.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I remember we got home with that baby and we sat down and we looked at each other and we're like, now what do we do? Like the steady stream of visitors with your first one, and it's like, so we got this kid. Now what do we, can we like hang out?
Yes.
So anyway.
Yeah. It goes by very fast. I remember feeling annoyed. People would always tell us that.
What? Yeah, it was annoying, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, it went so fast. It's like, I don't know what to do. And so yesterday, our good friend Lisa Anderson was on, and she stops by here occasionally. If you're here, Lisa, feel free to weigh in, because we're going to check you today. We're going to check you. Are we? Not really.
You know, because you like checking people when they ain't around.
That's my favorite. Like, Len, what's up? What you going to do, Len?
That's right.
So yesterday, Lisa Anderson was on talking about dating for Christian singles, just in general. And she just in passing said, by the way, I have an unconventional view of dating in a modern context. She said, I just don't think teenagers should date. I think it's fine to hang out in groups, but you don't need to date.
And Brian reacted immediately off air. You need to put that comment aside, because we talking about that.
Because somebody texted right away then, somebody in the listening family said, I agree with Lisa. Teens in groups is fine. Dating pretty much is practice for marriage, so if you're not looking at marrying this person, don't do it. You can just enjoy groups of people without your age without dating.
And Miss Anita's on, so you better watch what you say.
And it's the First Lady to you. Sorry, Madam First Lady, she doesn't know proper protocol for titles in church.
Oh my goodness.
So Jannelle and I are actually, this is going to be a shocker. We agree on this.
I know. You were expecting something different. We actually agree sometimes.
But we're ready for you to disagree.
Christy disagrees. She says, amen to Lisa.
Now, here's my thing. It's not that it's inherently wrong or incorrect for a Christian family to have the rule you can't date while you live in this house. You can't date till you're 21 or whatever you set the threshold as a teenager. It's not that that is inherently wrong. I don't think that's the case at all. Here's my question. Is it truly possible to compel your teenager not to date? Do you really have that power? Knowing that on a frequent basis I talk to parents whose kids are all grown, and they all comment on at least the one occasion, if not the regular occasion, when they sit around the table with their spouses and kids and laugh about all the things they did that you didn't know about, that they would have gotten in trouble for.
Yeah.
I mean, Jannelle always claims she never did anything wrong.
I could call my mama right now. I was a great kid.
You didn't do anything that you didn't want to tell your mom?
Awesome kid. That I didn't want to tell mom? I did.
See, look, I'm not going to make you say it, don't worry. But this is the core question. Is it even possible to create and enforce a rule like no dating, only in groups? You can just be in groups with people. Help me.
I'm going to see one of the kids call. Christy says dating is too much stress and distraction for teens, coming from a grandma with children ages 23 to 32. That's what Len says. He agrees. It is a distraction.
It is a distraction, and they're going to do it.
They are going to do it. They don't listen.
There are kids who are wired where they're just not that interested until later in life in dating, and that's okay. We each, I think, have kids like that.
Few of those, yeah.
I have a kid like that. I got others who are crazy about the idea of dating. They love it. And I got to tell you, I know from my wife describing it, that even if I made the rule, they would do it and just not tell me.
Yeah.
And what good is that?
Christy says some control, encourage academics and the arts from an early age. Pamela says, I was one of those kids set free after total restriction my whole life. Wow, I went crazy. But I still had the internal restrictions and felt guilt for my wild behavior.
Interesting. So, Pamela, do you think you would have made less wild decisions if your parents gave you bumpers, like guidelines, and talked to you about some of these things rather than block you from them?
Hope says, at the end of the day, after listening to parents, Bible study, and mentors, I had to set a standard for living based on my relationship with Christ and wanting Him to be pleased with my lifestyle. Wanting to do it for other people will only give you anxiety. Eva, hi Eva, she says, I agree. It opens up the door to so much to go wrong. These kids have so many bad influences, from movies to music to friends. A lot of them can't handle the pressure. But like you said, how do you stop them? And
that's the thing. You can't. You can't. My wife wouldn't care of me telling the story. I told it on the radio. She had this, I don't know the age, but she couldn't date. And so she had a really simple solution back in the day. And it probably still work now. So if your kids are watching, don't, turn them away. She'd go, hey, Mom and Dad, can you drop me off at the mall? Some friends and I are going to be hanging out. They'd go, oh, sure, yeah. And so they'd take her to the mall, and she'd march inside, walk right up to the movie theater, pick up a ticket stub from the ground that someone dropped on the ground, and then go on to her little date.
Yeah.
And she had proof that she was with her friends at a movie. It was called a ticket stub. Now, it was dishonest, it was lying. She shouldn't have done it. I agree, it was wrong. But it's proof that you can't enforce that rule at a certain age. And so all you're going to promote is dishonesty. Right?
I think so, yeah. Amora says, dating is a distraction. It really is a heart connection between the Lord and a person. This is where we hope parents have guided them along with spiritual mentors. Pamela says, I'm sure that regardless of the rules, open communication on all topics would surely have helped me out.
Yeah, I think that's the presumption we would have. Kids will still keep secrets, but wouldn't you prefer to help them think through moral dilemmas rather than do them alone because they're afraid you're going to get mad that you broke their rule about dating?
Yeah. And dating is so tricky because their feelings, it's not like don't drink. I don't know, like for example, I've had kids that are older that like somebody in their team. So you're with this person all the time and you're conversing. It's just hard, like you said, to compel them to follow a rule versus saying, okay, let's walk, like here are the reasons, here are the dangers. Let me teach you how to set boundaries for yourself and let's walk through this together. Because it's just something, it's just difficult. But I'm sure people disagree. Go ahead.
What do you think of the idea of, I've heard some Christians argue that one of the benefits of allowing dating with boundaries is that you don't have this arbitrary wait to date till you find the right person you want to marry thing. What you do is it's practice to know what you're actually looking for in a spouse. And you don't know until you've dated a number of people within healthy boundaries what drives you crazy, what's annoying, what's not annoying. I mean, is that a biblical ethic?
Yeah, but if we're going to go with that rule, then how many people do you have to date to know?
I don't think there's a number. I think it's the idea that, like, you dated. Mm-hmm. the people you broke up with, I'm assuming in hindsight, you go, wow, X, Y, and Z was not good, or I didn't like this, or this wasn't healthy. I'm going to avoid that. And part of your decision making with Len had to do with identifying, because of those situations, what you are looking for.
Okay, well,
you didn't date a lot, though, I know. So
I didn't date a lot, but I did. Let's say there was a guy I dated that's doing awesome, and he's doing great with he serves the Lord, and he's doing great. What do you tell people that say, if I would have ended up with him, we would have made it work in spite of whatever disagreements we would have had. It wasn't a betrayal, whatever. My point is, I've heard people say, when you date different people and you break up, it encourages what you don't have a choice to do in marriage, which is you got to work it through and you stay with the person. So with the idea that you're saying, for the same reason unless it's a betrayal, broke up with past boyfriends, I don't have that option with Len because it's till death do us part. So
I understand
I'm
your point.
choosing to stay with Len because we got married.
There is a choice involved, but I think Kathleen gave a good example years ago of this. Is she discovered after she dated a guy just like her, same personality type, same exact interests. She didn't know that. She thought it'd be the perfect boyfriend. It turns out it was just a disaster. They had a lot of fun, but they never got anything done. They were totally unorganized. She realized she needed someone that complemented her personality.
Yeah.
And that's when Nate came in. And Nate is the opposite of her in many ways.
Yeah.
Drives her crazy. She thought the best thing for her was someone just like her.
Yeah.
She didn't know until she found out.
Yeah. Amora says, Hollywood is such a bad influence if they think everything they see on TV is real. Sarah says, is the term dating too broad? It seems to me that dating can mean different things to different people. Kids going to the mall in groups doesn't seem as much like dating to me, unless the couple specifically is in a relationship. Help me out here. We're specifically talking about this topic right now with singles and married couples in our church. Dating is somewhat of a cultural construct.
Yeah, it is a cultural construct, but there's plenty of cultural constructs in the Christian faith that we adopt that are benign. They're not holy nor evil, they're neutral. And in this case, I guess you're right, because somebody in a secular sense might say dating involves casual sexual relationships. And that's not what we're talking about here.
No,
to me,
I
it's the
thought
idea
dating is you're my boyfriend and I'm your girlfriend.
you.
We're in a relationship.
That's, yes.
Not just going out to eat.
Yeah, well, it could mean
No.
something
Just
as
because
simple
we
as...
go on a date doesn't mean we're boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right, but to me, dating could mean anything on a spectrum from, like, a 16-year-old boy and girl going alone to dinner. That's a date. That's dating.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
And it could also mean they become boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah. Even if they always go out in a group, that's still an exclusive relationship.
And that's
They're
still...
boyfriend, girlfriend.
And they could still keep Christian moral boundaries in that.
Yeah.
So that to me is how I define it.
Len's thing is not just the fact that you're going on a date with this girl versus going in a group. If you're boyfriend, girlfriend, and it's exclusive, the reason he thinks it's distracting is because your emotions now are tangled up at a higher level than a friendship. You know? And so he kind of wants to keep that from them, but I'm like, dude,
Isn't that practice for
it's
marriage?
there. Yeah, but this is mad early. He's like, you could do other things. I think that realistic? Like,
well, and the age at which it's normal to get married, isn't that a social construct?
wow.
Because if you go back 150 years, people get married at like 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
And aren't we pushing the opposite boundary now where we have women and men waiting so long to get married that they're crossing the boundary into lack of fertility because of biology and the way God designed us?
What do you tell something? We're going to get to your calls, your text, but I had a question. My 17-year-old told me that he talked to a friend that was like, you don't need to be thinking about marriage. He's not thinking about marriage. He's thinking about preparing for...
He's thinking about it.
He's not... Well, not like, oh, I'm going to get married. He's thinking, like, okay, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to stay debt-free. So when I get married... Like, his mindset is marriage. This culture and his friend was like, dude, like, why is that even in your mind? You got to live it up. You got your 20s. You got to go travel. How do you handle... How have you communicated that with your kids? Because there is a benefit of, hold on, that's what was told to me, hold on and travel and live your life, versus settling so quickly.
We don't send that message.
What do you say? He was comfortable with telling the person, I could travel with my wife if I wanted to. He's like, why can't I get married and travel?
I think for us, it's more an overall attitude of yielding to God's direction in your life. And for us, that might mean college, that might mean tech school, that might mean a job, that might mean early marriage, later marriage, it might mean...
So just being open to the Lord's will. No,
right.
No line. Yeah.
But I don't think you can sit there and wait around for God's will to show up miraculously at your front door. You got to do something.
Because I've had people in the church, leaders, push back at me and Len when we got married early. Like, why so early? You know, so...
You got married young and it was fine.
Yeah. Roseanne, hi. She says, when children start dating young, they often keep Christian blessings of having friends of the opposite sex, which is really important at that age. Encouraging adolescents to build strong, healthy friendships will serve them much better in adulthood. You can have both. Isaiah has a girlfriend, and most of his friends are girls. And they ask him for advice. And
when I was his age, most of my friends were girls too.
But I'm saying you can learn both at the same time, no?
Yeah, no, I think you can. But
yeah.
To me, isn't that traditional dating in a sense, not a modern hookup stuff? Isn't at a deeper level with someone of the opposite sex?
You're gonna call it friendship?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. What, you don't? You weren't friends with the guys you dated?
Yeah, I was friends. Yeah.
Wow, I don't know what you were doing.
No, it's a different kind.
Is it?
You don't think?
Emotional intimacy can be is a part of friendship.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Donna says, balance. Help your teen maneuver through these years by encouraging them to make good choices. Ooh, like that. This will leave the communication open and help them develop this life skills. I love it. Teach them the important things in relationships. I always try, now that you say that, Donna, to be mindful of I'm preparing my kid for the next stage in life. Their own.
They have no idea what they're doing.
Full freedom. You know?
That's scary.
That's not empowering.
That's like giving someone a driver's license, having never given them practice behind the wheel.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's not just, okay, fine, you can date your 16. It's what I shared on air. Talking even when they're 10. Like, I literally talk to Raina too. This is another conversation because she's 8. But they find people cute. Or they say, like Nia, my 6-year-old, was like, oh, I like so-and-so because he treats me nicely. So it's not just cute. It's like kids are figuring out. They see mommy and daddy kissing. So I think they see things in life and they're like, oh,
not so much in your family, but in mine. Len said to you the other day, it's
no,
so
we
funny.
kiss in the house.
He tried to kiss. You tried to kiss him in public, and he's like,
in the river.
I know he does. I'm giving you
he kisses me. He's struggling because he grew up with no PDA. Miss Anita is speaking, so y'all better pay attention. She's saying, this is a good discussion. It took one guy to show me what I could never tolerate for a lifetime. Wow.
Thank you.
When God sent the right man, I knew. Having a godly father was definitely an advantage as well.
You ready for this yet?
No, yeah. Please, thank you.
I think I got a verse on this.
Okay,
It's not perfectly applicable.
Okay, I was going to say. But it's a verse that speaks.
Book it comes from.
Ecclesiastes!
Hey! Woo! It's my favorite one.
And J.I. Packer's favorite.
When I saw this passage, young people, it's wonderful to be young. Enjoy every minute of it. Do everything you want to do. Take it all in. You see what he did there?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's saying you're accountable to God.
Yeah.
And you know God's standards. With that in mind, it's wonderful to be young, enjoy every minute of it, do everything you want to do and take it all in. That's freedom with boundaries.
Yes. And the true accountability, which is what I try to teach my 17-year-old. It's not about my rules. It's about...
Aren't you even violating that principle of
Yeah.
freedom with boundaries?
Wow.
Passage?
Yes, and it actually does fit. I thought you were going to pick passage and like try to make it fit.
No, it
Like,
does.
here's
It's
freedom.
like, you're young. Take it all in. It's
Yeah.
great to be young. Do whatever you want.
Kelly says something that I like. She says, and sometimes our kids will mess up no matter how we try to guide them. And life will go on and lessons will be learned. I almost want them. I've shared earlier advice I got years ago about you want them to mess up while they're still under your covering so you can help them walk through it. Number one. Number two, one of the lessons I try to teach my kids is with failures and mess ups and sin and betrayal, like all of that, like you can move on. How do you handle it? How do you not, like, I think we talked about a couple years ago, millennials and how they can't handle failure, and how some professors are saying like, oh my gosh, like they're losing their minds. They don't know how to deal with, I messed up. You know, and the same with in relationships, when you're betrayed or when you're heartbroken, teaching your, like it's a life lesson. Sara, can you share what is the concept of dating in Ecuador? DR has modernized a lot and is very Americanized, to be honest.
Look at you all
But-
annoyed by that.
Len had to travel 12 hours to ask my dad for permission to date me.
It's one of
That's
my
it.
favorite stories, too.
It's hilarious because my dad got nervous. To get a no. But it, and I know Lisa said, well, my dad's passed. It's not so much the dad. It's the, like, in families like that, if it's not the dad, it's the brother or the mom. It's very much about accountability. You know, like if something happens, you got somebody to answer to versus you just show up at the front door and pick up my daughter. I don't even know who you are. A lot of families don't do that anymore, but Sara, just share, because Mike asked, what does it look like in Ecuador? Sara says, dating around is they hide their relationship until they're about to get engaged. It often causes a lot of hurt because they don't hear counsel from older people until they're in too deep emotionally. Wow. It is my opinion that by allowing our kids to be more open, we invite the opportunity to help them navigate the feelings that they probably... You can
She's typing it. I know. Isn't that fun?
Ecclesiastes 11:9 NLT. Yeah, I like that one. And oh, go ahead. How was it in your house? You shared Sarah's, but how did you do it?
My parents didn't have arbitrary rules about ages for dating. My brother and I weren't accepting restricted rules that allow freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom to learn and to make choices for the right reasons.
Can I just say something? I'm going to be a mom real quick.
Here we go.
It's just was special. So I had a moment that was so weird. I had to go, it was 2 months ago, meet Isaiah's girlfriend all by myself because she wanted to. It was so weird because I'm like, this girl's 17 and I'm going to meet with her. It was just weird. And so she wanted to get to know me. Dude, we talked for 3 hours. And I had to tell her a couple times, okay, it was nice talking to you. And she kept talking, and it was so intimate. And, like, she was so real. And I told her, like, oh, my gosh, no wonder Isaiah likes you and cares about you. But it was just sweet. It was like, I'm sharing it from a perspective, if moms are out there, he's my first. So it was like a moment. Like, I told my mom, it wasn't about me. It was about Isaiah and entering into his world. It wasn't even about her, because she may not be in the picture long, who knows. But that was like a moment as a parent, you know, that was uncomfortable. Because you talk about that. And I saw Tanks share it publicly. Like, we're not all like, oh, I'm so glad you're dating. But it was a moment of, I may not feel comfortable, but I want to be in your life. So I'm going to meet with this girl that I don't know. You've shared that. Are you comfortable sharing how, like, you're not cheering, but it's a reality. And you want to be in her life?
I don't like it at all. But it looks like our video actually kind of stinks.
Okay.
We've had a couple people. Mike said it now. So we're just going to end it for today.
Bye, guys.
We'll pick it up on Friday.
Yes. Love you guys. Bye, Sarah, Kimberly.